even know where to start with this NFL draft stuff. Uh, I am
I
over
I,
the moon as
I
a
know where to
Philadelphia
start.
Eagles fan. Uh, unbelievable draft. Unbelievable to acquire DeAndre Swift. And now, by the way, all four backs on our roster are making as much as Miles Sanders is going to make this year in Carolina. Bryce Young, obviously being the number one overall pick. I think we all expected it. Houston moving up, which Daniel Jeremiah of NFL Network called. I thought, again, a good draft by them. Way to get Will Anderson. Way to get CJ Stroud. I even thought your Cleveland Browns had some good bids, especially the offensive
Cleveland,
lineman
the
out of Ohio
Cleveland
State.
Browns are getting A's
Good,
from
yeah,
everywhere,
good
because
value.
just amazing value. But I'm going to start off with this for you, Brandon. Congrats to Bryce Young on being the number one pick overall. I thought that him and I'm an Ohio State fan. I thought that him and CA Stroud really, you couldn't have gone wrong. So congrats to Bryce Young on being number one. Congrats to CJ Stroud, number two pick in the draft. Um, then Houston coming back up to get Will Anderson. Now, is that going to cost them later on? They did give up, I believe, the first round pick next year as well. So, you got a team. You didn't get too many weapons for CJ Stroud. So, uh, I'm hoping it works out. I will say another team I like what they did was the Arizona Cardinals. They didn't really do anything in this year's draft. They're sticking with Kyler. They still got D Hop, but they added they have two first round picks next year. They
Yeah, they
have
do.
two second round picks next year. They have three third round picks next year. They have two fourth round picks. They have picks coming out the what for next year. They set themselves up to have a really strong draft and a much deeper draft than this year. This year's draft was you had maybe 15 guys who I believed were honest to God first round picks. Everyone else I thought could be second, third, or fourth round, but it doesn't mean that I didn't think they could be productive
Yeah,
or good players. There just wasn't you know, there wasn't a glaring
yeah.
ceiling
I
like there are in drafts past. But this was
I
a really good mid round draft.
I think the two things about this draft, and I think that they kind of both go hand in hand, is this was a really, I feel like, a lot of deep draft. As you mentioned, it was obviously deep on edge, deep at tight end, deep at receiver, deep at defensive back, offensive line as well, especially interior. But I also thought it was a weird draft in a way because it depended on the team that you had. Some teams had guys graded in the second round. Other teams, excuse me, had the same guys graded in the fourth round. And then I also thought it was weird that, some of these teams picking towards the top, your Vegases, your Chicago's, your Detroit, your Seattle, some of those teams, they all felt like they needed similar needs. And they also felt like they could go any way. So it was really a hard draft to sort of mock and say, oh, yeah, for sure, this person's going here.
So the thing about this draft was, like I said, I think that there was obviously some players that were, I would say maybe 15 players who I thought were first round type players. Everyone else, there was maybe another 30 who I was like, okay, second round, third round players. Everyone else to me was a lot of these players are players who are project players and their potential is going to be reached maybe by the end of the season or early
The
next
next season.
season. Um, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I do want to say, so I graded every team. I'm not going to go over every team. I'm going to go over two teams. I'm going to go over the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll start with, and I'm going to go over the Cleveland Browns because that is my hometown
Yep,
team.
that's fair.
But I'm going to start with the Eagles. Jalen Carter. Let's get it out of the way. George Bulldog. We should just start calling the
The,
Eagles the Philadelphia
the
Bulldogs.
Philadelphia Bulldogs, baby.
I am giving that was an A plus. Him falling nine. I know he's got character issues, but I think that culture that is in
Yes.
Philadelphia, especially with defensive line, is gonna whip him into shape. And you are getting an absolute monster up front on a team that is full of monsters. And he has a potential to be a Pro Bowler every single year. So for me, that is an A plus pick to get him Nolan Smith, who I thought was one of the who was one of the few. I had him as the only other linebacker as a true first round pick outside of
Okay.
Will Anderson, and Will Anderson I actually had as an edge, not as a linebacker, because
Right.
he blitzed so much. He played so much on the outside. But Nolan Smith, who also from Georgia, the Eagles took at the end of the first round. He is injury prone, so unfortunately, that does go against it. But I gave that pick a B plus with a potential of an A plus, because if
Right.
he is able to stay healthy, he is going to impact that linebacker, that
Yeah.
those linebackers in ways that he's gonna he flies around the field. He can blow up the runs. He can get to the quarterback. He can cover. He could do everything. He is a monster linebacker. So at because of the injuries, I gave it a B
Yeah.
plus. But I have it the potential of an A plus, because I think that he was the second best linebacker in the draft, and they got him right near the end, second to last pick. I believe it was Mama Kelsey
Yes. It
who
was
got the
Mama
pick.
Kelsey.
Then in the second round, the Eagles took offensive lineman Tyler Steen from Alabama. I gave that an A. Great pick. Kid has a ton of
Yeah.
potential. As well, I mean, he could probably jump in now and play, but I think maybe they're
So
gonna let
so
him sit a
my
year.
my best guess is, again, from reading and hearing what Howie Rose and Nick Sirianni had to say, it sounds like this year the plan is for him to sit. It sounds like Cam Urges, who they obviously drafted that center last year, is going to be the starting right guard, and then next year when they anticipate Jason Kelsey to no longer be there at center, Urges will move to center, and then Steen will slide in at right guard.
Yeah. The only pick, and I will say round three, they took safety Sidney Brown from Illinois. The only pick I did not like from the
Yeah,
Eagles.
I
I
wasn't so sure about it, but I when I was reading it, they said he was the second true best safety in the draft. And I
if
know
I
PFF has ranked him high. So
if I was gonna take a safety in round three, I would have went with Jordan Battle from Alabama.
yeah, I agree.
Um, but I gave that a C plus, because I it's not just that. I think there were better players on the board, and they reached for maybe potentially a need, and it wasn't even the player who I thought was the best player available
Yeah.
in that position. So I gave it a C plus. However, their next pick in round four, Keely Ringo from Georgia,
Georgia.
once again, that is an A plus pick. That is amazing value in the fourth round. I thought he is a dynamic cornerback. Um, then they took in the sixth, and they traded, or they didn't trade. I'm sorry. Um, they had the
They moved
six,
up in the fourth, and then
right.
yeah.
Sixth round, they got quarterback Tanner McKee from Stanford. I gave that a B. I like those smart quarterbacks from
Yep.
Stanford. They always seem to be able to step in and play well in situations when you need them to. Is he going to make the team? Who knows? But it was a good pick, and if you need someone behind Hurts and you don't want to pay a veteran, that is someone who's going to get in there, learn very quickly, and maybe be able to win you a game or two. If Hurts goes down for a couple of games. So I love that pick. I gave it a B. I'm sorry. I gave it a B plus. And then the last pick in the seventh round, defensive tackle Moro Ojomo from Texas, big strong guy. Gave it a B. It's a seventh round. It's very hard to give A's in the seventh round. I believe I may have given an A to a couple of teams in the seventh round just based on pure value. But solid pick. But what pushed them to the A plus grade in my draft was DeAndre Swift. Um,
Unbelievable.
it was, yeah. I mean, Swift is
Basically
an
giving up nothing. I mean, a
ba-
2025 fourth and just swapping
2025
sevens.
that's exactly what they did. And DeAndre Swift is a phenomenal running back. Obviously, me and you talked about this. It seemed like they hated Miles Sanders last year,
They did, and I told you, I said
and
they don't.
Miles Sanders was good.
He's good, but I have told everybody, and I know how he. That's why when there was all this speculation about, oh, the Eagles might take Bijan, I said there is no way. I would bet my whole bank account that Bijan
Yeah,
Robinson was not going to be a Philadelphia Eagle because
yeah.
I just know how Howie Roseman operates. They do
And I
not
mean,
they do not value the running back position as much other teams. They value the defensive line, they value the offensive line. And when you look at you add Rashard Penny in free agency, obviously he's been hurt a little bit, but when he's healthy, he's been productive. You still have Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott, who I absolutely love both of those scat backs out of the backfield. And then adding DeAndre Swift, who is obviously at the end of his rookie deal, and I'm not even sure the Eagles are going to pay him next year. But if you're going to get a 1 year rental to go all in on a player who is from the
oh yeah.
Philadelphia area, who is going to be with the best offensive line he's ever been with, he's going to be with the best quarterback he's ever played with, and the ability, the dynamic of the zone read, and the ability for him to catch the ball out of the backfield, and the fact he's not going to have to touch the rock every play, extreme value.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's gonna add a whole new dynamic to that backfield. And I mean, it was an A+ all the way. And you know what? I think that if you think about it, you did give up a fourth round pick. Yeah, okay, it's a fourth in 2025. It's still a fourth round pick. Fourth round picks are highly valuable because you could find really good players in the the third and fourth rounds. So they obviously they coveted DeAndre Swift, obviously, because from what I heard, they there were other offers for Swift, but this was the best offer, was was a fourth. And the Eagles really wanted wanted that solid running back.
Well,
So
Howie said going into the weekend, they did not even think about upgrading at running back at all. And then obviously when the Lions shocked the world with the 12th pick in the draft and ended up taking the back out of Alabama, he quickly gave a call in. I believe it's Brad Holmes, the GM of the Lions, and said, "Hey, how much is DeAndre Swift available for?"
so there was a team who I believe offered a fifth and a sixth
Okay,
for this year, but the Eagles ended up saying, well, we'll give you a fourth,
fourth.
but it'll be in 2025. And that's what got the deal done. So my grades, and I'm not gonna go from right now, I'm gonna go pretend, because some, like I said, I got some players. The only player I have on the Eagles from, I have Nolan Smith as a B+, the potential of A+. I'm just gonna go straight potential. Jalen Carter A+, Nolan Smith A+, Tyler Steen A, Sidney Brown C+, Keely Ringo A+, Tanner McKee B+, Moro Ajomo a B, and DeAndre Swift trade A+. That gives the Eagles for me an A+. That was just a phenomenal draft. They addressed a whole bunch of areas of need, which is not many on that team, but they got their running back. They got another monster for tackle. They got an amazing, a potential monster linebacker, offensive lineman. They were all over cornerback. And there's not much else you have to do on the offensive side of the ball. So, I didn't. I think that was one as good, almost as good of a draft as you're going to get for a team that almost has no holes.
You like that clip from the Brands World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brands World podcast right here on YouTube.